Hi. Today I thought I might do a quick demo with watercolors. So I've got a couple of tips for you. So the first one is that the most expensive thing, or the thing that you need to be most aware of, is to have good paper. So you can't just use computer paper, printer paper. It needs to be at least 180 GSM. So I mostly use 300 GSM. It means it's thick. You can get cold pressed or hot pressed, and that means how rough the paper is. You can use whatever paints are in your budget. So you can get these ones from the kids section in the art supply shop. So I use a lot of those for my classes. You can buy single pan hand created ones from different places. You can buy something off, I think this might have been off a cheap website. This is the one that I use the most. This is my Meeden set, and then this is another one from overseas. It's all beautiful golds and pearly colors. So the Meeden one, so each of these is called a pan. So each of these colors that you've got here, there's different types or different ways to use watercolors. The main one is wet on dry, and that means that your paper is dry and you're using wet paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my watercolor brush in some clean water, and I'm going to fill the pan that I want to use. So I just dab it maybe 3 or 4 times. It's not like acrylic paint where you can see all the paint on the end of the brush. You can see it just looks like water, and you might have a hint of a color. That's what you're looking for. So you just give it a little bit of a wriggle in the paint. You do not want to be digging round and round and round in the paint trying to get all the paint on the brush. You will waste your paint and you'll end up having too much on your brush. So as you can see, it's quite watery, it's quite transparent. That's what you're looking for. And you can easily use your brush to move the paint around the page. If you want it to be darker, you just grab a bit more paint and you paint over the top again, and you get these beautiful patterns here. If you want to paint wet on wet, that's when your page is wet and your paint is also wet. You would have, not that it is now because I've just cleaned my brush in there, but you have very clean water. You would paint the water on your page. You would grab your, so I'm going to use a couple of different colors here to show you the difference between wet on wet and wet on dry. I might use this teal green too. Okay, so I've got the paint on my brush, and I'm just dropping the color now into the water. I'm going to grab the next color, and you get these beautiful blooms. So I need more water in that pan here. Dab a bit more water on, and a bit more water in that teal color. And can you see how the paint is only sticking within the wet paint that we've painted on the page? My page is a little bit tilted, so it might end up running, but when your page is flat, your paint is only going to go within the borders of the paint that you've painted on the page. So you can see how it's a little bit different there. So that's the way to use all of these watercolors in a pan. I prefer to use these because I can just chuck the lid back on and it's good to go next time. I do have tubes of watercolor paint like these, but you need a palette and it gets a bit messy, and less is more. You end up pouring out more paint than you want, which is fine because you can reactivate it at any time, but I just prefer to have these all together. That's just my preference. So another different type of watercolor is watercolor crayons, inktense blocks, and watercolor pencils. So I'll also do a demo on those as well. Okay, so my favorite ones to use of these are the watercolor crayons. So I've got two brands here, Lyra Aquarelle and Neocolour II. It's a bit hard to see the label on these. These ones come in a set together. The Neocolour II also come in sets, but they're really expensive. So I have my general set of the Lyra Aquarelle or Lyra Aquarelle, and any colours missing out of there, I buy the Neocolour II separately. So I have these for green, purple, and some of the skin colours. So I'm going to demonstrate these. All of the things in front of me, so the Inktense and the watercolour pencils, can all be used in these different ways. So first of all, they're just like a crayon on the page, so you can use them like this, or you can go ahead, actually I'll do another one here, you'll be able to see the difference. You can activate them with water, so you can go in like this with your brush. You will still probably have a few scratchy marks underneath. Sometimes you can get them all out. It depends on the colour. That could be good though. You might want that as part of the texture for your painting that you're doing. Another way that you can do it is grab your watercolour crayon and dip it in the water and use it like this. So there's 3 different textures you've got there. So you can do the same again. So these Inktense blocks, you can use it just to colour in. You can, it's good for shading with these two. Or you can dip it in the water again and do the same thing. So you can see all the colours here. So with watercolour paints in the pan, they're quite transparent. The crayons and the Inktense, the colours are much brighter. So let's go ahead and activate the red one with water. And we can do the same for half of this. So you get quite good coverage using it on its side too. And then we can go ahead and do the same for the watercolour pencils. So I'm going to grab a blue. So again, I'm just going in, colouring in as if you would normally, and then we're going to activate this with water. Oh, still got some red on there, that's fine. Now we've got a nice purple colour. And again, you can dip that pencil in the water and get another texture. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. These are really good for blending as well, so you can add other colours into it. So I've got this pink here, I can add some pink into it. So yeah, that's just a few different ways to use watercolour paints. Let me know if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.